The Lightning Network, something that is trying to expand how we can use Bitcoin. It's been around for several years, but here we are in 2023, and all of a sudden, there's a flurry of developments that I'm excited to get into with our senior analyst at Collective Shift, Nick. I'll hand over to you, Nick, to firstly, for those listening and watching, maybe just start off with explaining what the Lightning Network is at a high level and kind of what its benefits are.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. At a very high level, the Lightning Network is an additional network that is built on top of Bitcoin, which aims to provide more of the payment infrastructure and providing really easily scalable, quicker payments for people who want to use Bitcoin. This is not directly on Bitcoin. So the Lightning Network has a lot of different security guarantees that it has, but at a high level just aims to make payments very easy for people to use Bitcoin. An analogy that I've heard recently that I really enjoy and I think is really useful is thinking about it in terms of a bar tab. So instead of always going to your bar tab if you want to pay for something and incurring those fees each time, what the Lightning Network does is it keeps a record of all these transactions off chain, off Bitcoin. And then when you sort of want to settle your tab and get back out, then you can get your Bitcoin out, and that's the only one fee that is done there. So it aims to create a system where you don't always have to pay fees each time, because we all know that the Bitcoin network is and can be expensive to use if you want to use a transaction each time. So what Lightning intends to do is expand the utility by providing these ease of payments.
And it's a very exciting use case that I think can really give Bitcoin some more applications and uses, as you say, Nick, rather than, at least here in the Western world, what we typically view Bitcoin is just something that can be similar, put our savings into, or a bit of our savings, kind of like a store of value like gold. But Bitcoin is capable of doing so many more things, particularly for our other areas, non-Western areas of the world, which something like Lightning Network can enable probably much quicker than if it was just everything was just built on the Bitcoin blockchain itself. So I guess kind of on that, Nick, could you maybe walk through, I think in this post that we just scrolled through for members, you kind of took a high level or sort of a snapshot of the developments that have been going on recently with Lightning Network. What were sort of the things that caught your eye? Maybe just start off with the thing that maybe got you most excited about what's been happening in the Lightning Network sort of ecosystem, lately in April 2023.
Yeah, so one of the key aspects I was looking forward to this year was some big announcements around people building on Lightning and on Bitcoin. So I was really excited to see a company called Lightspark, which had a massive announcement last week that they announced their product suite where they'll be able to provide more of the core infrastructure and fixing a lot of the issues that is plaguing Lightning at the moment. Such as it's really difficult, I think, for people to integrate and to use it. And so it can be really hard to try and build on it. So what Lightspark is trying to do is provide core infrastructure and the tools to be able to obfuscate a lot of the complexity away from it and provide more streamlined tools. So, anybody can create, I guess, a business that is harnessing the Lightning Network. So this is really exciting to me because it legitimizes Bitcoin and Lightning Network, because the creator, one of the co-founders of Lightspark, is David Marcus, who led Facebook's blockchain division, and their I think it was Diem. It changed a few different names throughout the years, and then he was an early chair in PayPal. So we got these early payment sort of pioneers that are building on Bitcoin, which I think is a massive signal to the market that is really exciting. It's no longer just this niche thing where I think a bunch of idealistic people on the internet are trying to build Bitcoin. When you have big names like this fundamentally building on Bitcoin and creating products to make payments much easier, I think that's a huge catalyst coming into the market.
Yeah, no, particularly really helped, I think, legitimize and as you said, bring a lot of interest to the Lightning Network space with his arrival and the work that Lightspark is doing. I'm sure there were some other sort of developments you wanted to touch on, Nick. Where do you want to go next?
We can go to Strike Network, who they've been in the news a lot. I think in 2022 when they announced at Bitcoin Miami that they were going to unveil this massive point of service integrations, so integrating directly into these merchants, so you'd be able to use or possibly support Lightning payments. That was behind schedule, but they're still rolling out a lot of integrations with Lightning Network across a lot of African countries, and they're even looking at powering the remittances in places like the Philippines. So we've seen a really big acceleration from Strike in creating more integrations and support for Lightning and their network to really allow payments to become much more predominant as a use case with Bitcoin. We've also got other integrations such as I think social media protocols that are emerging that are supporting Lightning Network, and then bringing it back to another big name, Spiral, and that's Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin-focused company, who is really nailing down and still just building kind of really under the radar, I think, and the market's not really appreciating it because they're building the core development kit that allows more infrastructure and a lot of different applications to be built, on Lightning Rails.
Yeah, I think with Jack Dorsey's background at even Square, the very large sort of payments infrastructure sort of company as well, which I guess is rebranded to Block a couple of years ago. That sort of experience and I guess connections as well would definitely be a benefit for something like Spiral, which again we've got this article here from Decrypt just sort of talking about that announcement that Nick was just describing then. Was there anything else, Nick, in terms of just developments on Lightning Network? What about the capacity overall? Like, I think
so we saw capacity start to increase. I think from the last year, it increased it by about 100% again. So it's on this uptick upwards, and capacity is really important because capacity directly indicates how much I think payment support the Lightning Network can have. So it's limited by its capacity. So you can't have grand amounts of value circulating because it's only limited by its capacity. So we have more infrastructure that is being built out and a lot more adoption of these networks, and they're called channels that allow these people to transact. Channel is sort of like a bar tab with a united group of people or two actors on one side and the other side. So if we see these capacity increase, we should see payment volumes also increase. So really excited to see all this combination of people that are building Lightning infrastructure, Lightning applications. MicroStrategy is probably another one to touch on because they were talking about at the end of 2022 how they're going to be focusing more on creating Bitcoin applications and doubling down on the same rhetoric of building out more of the infrastructure layer for Lightning. So really excited to see that, and it was pretty timely with this post because MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor did actually just tweet as this post went live that he was, converting emails into Lightning addresses. So we're seeing a lot going on, and it's kind of a hint, I think, of where we're going to see more of the focus in the next year as we see what they're sort of building. And once all this infrastructure is built and maybe a lot of these applications start to come to market, really interesting to see the use cases that come out of all this.
Yeah, for sure. And just with MicroStrategy as well, I think they own about 140,000 Bitcoin now, which is, when you've got a supply maximum of 21 million, I think current one is about 19.5 million. That is a significant amount. So they're very, I suppose, incentivized and motivated to, actually, develop the Lightning Network ecosystem as well. Not just from a selfish financial standpoint, but I'm sure, as Michael Saylor firmly believes in sort of bringing Bitcoin to the masses. And I think Lightning Network is one that definitely has a lot of groundswell of support. It's been around, I feel like, for several years now, at least 4 years. And it just continues to slowly get adoption. But, as you really covered for members just in that post recently, Nick, I think, really highlighting just how many different pockets of experienced people and builders and financial resources are also sort of coming on board and really bolstering this Lightning Network. was there anything probably out of those or even anything else probably in 2023 that you've sort of got your eye on with respect to Lightning Network? I think, does the Bitcoin in Miami, is that a big event happening pretty soon?
Yeah, the
Could be
Bitcoin
something there.
Miami. I'm not sure if it's in Miami this year, but I know their yearly Bitcoin conference that happens should be in the next, I think, month or two. With a lot of these conferences that are coming out, it's kind of conference season. I feel like coming up for crypto, so a lot should be unraveled at the Bitcoin conference. But I think the key message here is the takeaway of why it's important. As you mentioned, it's a legitimizing factor to see a lot of the infrastructure get built and a lot of reputable people building on Lightning. It's also just trying to remember, like, guess what money is. So that's one thing I've been thinking about and why I wrote this post, is because if you think about what money is, it's a store of value and it's a medium of exchange. So at the moment, Bitcoin is kind of building that store of value narrative. But something I thought was really important is maybe this move towards medium of exchange, which has sort of been forgotten about, is perhaps gaining some traction if we do see Lightning payments or Lightning rails, if we do see content creators being able to seamlessly, tip, monetize in Bitcoin or in Sats, then it's a huge, I think, benefit coming to Bitcoin that maybe is not getting appreciated in the market, with a lot of short-term focus on price. A lot of people are looking at like 30K when it's getting into these ranges or whatever. To me, it's kind of not the important thing. The important thing, I think, here is all the development that's going on and this new narrative that's coming place. So I'm really excited and kind of feel like it's something that's being forgotten about, as everyone's focusing on like 30K and all these price ranges.
Yeah, well said, Nick. It's very worthwhile stepping back and seeing the bigger picture, and that's definitely needs to be said. And for anyone wanting to just learn more about what money is, it's not something we typically ask ourselves, or we grow up sort of never really actually getting taught at a fundamental level what money is. So we've got some great resources on Collective Shift, such as this one I've got up on my screen here, and Leon also did a recent YouTube video at Collective Shift for us as well. For you to just learn about money in a really, we really try our best to sort of like dumb it down and explain it in simple terms, because there is a lot of people overcomplicating things and whatnot, which never isn't really much help to anyone. So check out those resources, tell some of your friends about it if they are also could be interested in it. But we will leave it there, Nick, as we sort of covered throughout this video. This post was recently published for members. So to get more of an understanding about what members do get at Collective Shift, you do want to head over to the website at collectiveshift.io. And also a really good suggestion would be to sign up to the newsletter. Every week, comes to your inbox, has insights on what's happening in crypto and why it matters. Again, why it matters, that we think is the most important thing. So to access that, collectiveshift.io/newsletter.